This self-defense murder charge is one of the most egregious, unjustified arrests I've ever seen in my life.
The first thing that you feel is you fears about your life. So you're gonna do whatever is possible for you to defend yourself.
I don't usually come right out and tell people how to interpret the cases I cover, but this one is different.
Do you think you should have been arrested for murder?
Nah.
What they're doing to this man is wrong, and likely worsening his experience of trauma.
In New York State, if you were faced with deadly physical force and you were reasonable in your belief that you were going to be harmed, then you have the right to defend yourself.
I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. What kind of sick, twisted place are we sitting in where this man who was defending himself is put in jail?
Why is there a debate? Is there a question as to whether this was self-defense or not?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Mainly, you would have to ask the DA because that is where the charges is coming from as it stands right now.
Jose Alba, 61, is a clerk at the Blue Moon Bodega in Hamilton Heights, New York City. On July 1st, late in the evening, an unnamed 32-year-old woman and her 10-year-old child enter the Blue Moon Bodega to buy a bag of potato chips for the child. Her EBT card was declined, and the clerk, 61-year-old Jose Alba, wouldn't let her leave with the chips. She gets pissed off at Jose, and an argument ensues. Some sources report that Jose yanked the bag out of the 10-year-old's hands, but that's unclear at this time. Then she goes home and gets her boyfriend, Austin Simon, 37, a career criminal, and they return to the store about 10 minutes later. Austin demands an apology from Jose, seemingly for how he took the bag of chips from the 10-year-old roughly, but again, it's unclear at this time. Then, unsatisfied with the result, Austin goes behind the counter and threatens the clerk.
Alba's attorney says the video speaks for itself.
He throws him into a chair and screams at him,
Yells at a customer
before grabbing him and throwing him to the other side of the tiny clerk's booth. Now, as you watch these clips, consider if you were in your 60s, what would you do in this situation? You can't run, and you're trapped in a tiny room with a man half your age and bigger and taller than you blocking the only exit. What do? After sustaining quite a beating, Jose stabs and kills his attacker. At this point, Austin's girlfriend takes out a knife and stabs Jose 3 times in the shoulder. When the police arrived, Jose was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and criminal possession of a weapon. They took him to Rikers Island with a $500,000 bond.
A jail famous among Democrats because it's so squalid and so dangerous that they have spent decades trying to shut it down. But it wasn't so bad they didn't send Jose Alba there.
The judge lowered it to $250,000 at the arraignment, however.
In a city that very recently was considering getting rid of all bail.
And after 6 days, because of the local outcry, the bond was lowered to $50,000, and he was able to secure release if he agreed not to leave New York City and to surrender his passport.
He had nothing to say as he returned home.
He's very distracted with everything that is happening. He's a man that worked 13 hours a day to making his living, and then suddenly see him involved in this incident that he didn't provoke.
But they're not dropping the case, and Austin's girlfriend faces no charges for stabbing Jose in the shoulder, at least so far. After the arraignment, Austin's family leaves in tears, declaring that he was a good man and a good father that had been murdered in cold blood by Jose. His sister says if the shoe was on the other foot, my brother wouldn't have gotten bail or bond or nothing. And Tina Lee, his baby mama with 3 kids, called him a good man and a good father who took good care of their children. Jose was released Friday after his bail was posted by his family, the owner of the Blue Moon Bodega, and the New York City Bodega Owners Association. However, he is due back in court on July 20th, 2022. I'm also frankly not sure why Alvin Bragg, the DA, who is rightfully thought of as being soft on crime, is making such a hard stand against a man who clearly defended himself from an attack.
The New York prosecutor who sent out a memo earlier this year saying he wouldn't prosecute theft of services, trespassing, aggravated unlicensed operation, routine traffic violations, obstructing governmental administration, resisting arrest. That's a huge one. A prosecution wouldn't even prosecute them.
Nor can I truly understand why the dead man's family is so adamant that he was a good man. While arguably he was defending his family, is this the right way to protect your girlfriend and her child? Attack a 60-year-old man over a less than $10 purchase? And even if Jose was rude, which we're not clear on, would this be a good response to such rudeness? And as much as I hate to agree with Tucker Carlson...
So Simon had no apparent job. He was wearing a $300 designer t-shirt and a gold earring.
I really do have questions about why someone with an almost $400 t-shirt on would have to resort to fisticuffs rather than just buying a bag of chips. Granted, he could have bought the shirt at a thrift store or been given it as a gift. However, considering it's a pristine white, I really don't imagine it made its way through the thrift store system, as it would have probably gotten a lot more dingy. Also, who would donate a $400 shirt that they just bought? It didn't have to be this way, and Austin made it this way when he decided to attack a 60-year-old clerk.
Una vez tú cruzas esa puerta.
And what was Jose supposed to do? Just let Austin beat him up? Give the girl free items? Get killed over a bag of chips? Come on. I'm never truly sure if these petitions actually do anything, but there is one on change.org about him, and I'll link to it in the description below.
The DA will have to effectively prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that this defendant was not acting in self-defense.
Alba's actions do appear to be in self-defense. According to the relevant New York statute, a person may use physical force upon another when and to the extent he or she reasonably believes such to be necessary to defend himself from what he or she reasonably believes to be the use or imminent use of unlawful physical force by such other person.
Legal expert Dmitry Shakhnovic says thanks to the video, prosecutors will likely have a tough time proving their case.
The law says that you have to retreat. In this particular case, he couldn't really do that.
Police arrested Alba, charging him with murder.
And if you're so inclined, do something to help him, even if it's just to sow more outrage by sharing this video or a similar one. And be sure to check back to this channel on this upcoming Tuesday, because I have a video coming out that's also about an old man and self-defense. When it's out, it'll be here. But until then, check out this video YouTube thinks you'll like, after you comment, of course.